Happy Sabbath, everybody. So today in Elders Quorum, we studied the Renlund talk, Brother Renlund's talk, I should say Elder Renlund's talk. And in the talk, he goes over some of the parables in Matthew chapter 25. And my buddy who was teaching the lesson, Brother Newman, asked me to share some insights from the farm because he's seen that I have sheep and goats. And so he just asked me to ponder on just something casual before class. He just asked me to, share some insights on sheep and goats. And as we're going over the lesson, I told him right away, I was like, oh my goodness, I can share you my experience over the last 5 years on my farm, the differences. And there are stark differences in pertaining to the things of the Spirit. There's some critical lessons, and here they are. I have, as you've seen on my channel, I have a 5-acre farm, and I have my food forests, and I have my pastures that I'm striving to grow here in the desert of St. George. And when you have boundaries, all of my pastures are set up with cattle panels. So I have cattle panels all over the farm, and they separate the grazing areas from the food forests. And for the past 5 years, the south side of my food forest has struggled because it's right up against the pastures of the sheep and the goats. And with the sheep, you put a boundary line up, and yeah, they'll poke their head through, they'll, push on the fence a little bit, but they're gonna respect the boundary. They easily are, they're managed very easily with cattle panels, and any type of obstacle with the sheep. The goats, however, they're gonna get to that boundary and they're gonna try to push it down. And they've been very successful at my farm with some of the T-posts weren't like farmer grade T-posts. They were the kind that you get at Kohl's, the thin one, and then they just bent it right over. Got into my food forests. They have decimated those fruit trees to the point where they'll eat a fruit tree down. A goat will eat a fruit tree down till it's just a little stub, and then when they get down to the trunk of the tree, they'll strip the tree. Saddest thing ever. Skinned it alive, killing it. And so the goats, they get to that boundary, and they're going to try to go over it. They're going to try to go through it. They're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to get around it. And spiritually speaking, sheep get a bad rap in our society. Don't be sheeple. Don't be, don't just follow. And I totally get that, However, when we're talking about the gospel of Jesus Christ, and when we're talking about the creator of this world and worlds beyond measure, and the holder of our very peace, you want to be like the sheep. You want to be like the sheep, because on my little experience, who do I love to provide green pasture, new pasture for? Is it the one that is trying to already provide its own pasture and doing its own thing and getting to the boundaries and jumping over? No, those are the ones that I struggle with. It's the sheep who get to the boundary, they respect the boundary, They eat within their pasture, and it's those animals that I enjoy letting them graze on new pasture. I think it's really brilliant that the Lord would use a parable like the sheep and the goats. If you've spent any time with these animals, you would recognize what I'm saying right now, and it would resonate in this day and age right now, where nobody wants to be told what to do, or strict obedience to commandments and to the laws of God. And yet, by strict obedience, Jesus won the glory. I often think, when people say, oh, it's just, or they portray, it's just boring. Christianity is boring. Following Jesus is boring. It's just boring. It's just so, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I think to myself, interesting that the Lord's example of taking a walk on water, boring. Healing the blind man who's been blind since birth, boring. Walking into the room when the little girl was dead, boring. Going to Lazarus' tomb 3 days after his passing and calling him from the dead, boring. I think of no greater joy and peace than you can have in following the example of Jesus Christ and his strict obedience. And that is my Sunday share as I drive up to the farm and am greeted by no other than who? Who am I greeted by? The sheep and the goats. Only this time the goats are on the right hand and the sheep are on the left. You know what I'm talking about. Make it a great day!